Welcome to the Onward Shift podcast. Before we get started on this insightful conversation with an incredible guest, I want to tell you a little bit about Onward Shift. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but I want to share some statistics with you. The construction industry is more than 3 times higher than the national average for suicides. And over 50% of construction workers don't feel comfortable to speak about their problems. I'm an electrician by trade. I've worked on those building sites. I completely understand how it feels to be a contractor, almost claustrophobic in your feelings. Onward Shift isn't just a podcast. It isn't just a company. It's a movement to support the industry I truly love. Let's get into the episode. Hello, and welcome back to Onward Shift's podcast. You may or may not remember, but this is James. He's a host. He's been a guest with us before, and what an incredible guest he was. But today we want to deep dive into a handful of topics which really mean a lot to both of us. So, James, if you could do a quick introduction, a reintroduction, that would be amazing.
A reintroduction. No problem at all, Vic. First of all, thank you so much once again. Absolutely love these. So I'm James. I'm part of JT MOTIV. Heidi, my better half, she's the other part. We work this organisation together to help as many people as we can through mental health, addiction, anything talking really. We've done it for coming up for 5 years, and we absolutely love it.
Amazing, James. I'll have to admit, I absolutely adore Heidi as well. She's incredible. And, behind the scenes, I have got the opportunity to speak to her, and what an incredible woman she is. Full of positive energy, just like yourself. So, yeah, I've been fortunate to get to meet her as well. So I'm very...
Bless you. You will indeed. Thank you so much.
I love it. But, James, I think it's so important. Okay, so I'll tell you why this is so important to me. And I really want to understand your perspective of it, also how it's actually positively affected you in the past as well. And that's this really, for me, frustrating thing of zero tolerance. Like, I can't stand it. I'll be honest with you, I absolutely can't stand it. It frustrates the life out of me. And I'll tell you why, right? Recently, I've worked for a company and they fired 2 apprentices because they were addicted to drugs. And I get it. They're a hazard on site. Working in the construction industry, they're a hazard. Of course they are. It's a no-brainer. But rather than, throwing them away, essentially, why not give them the support, the coaching that they spent thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on employee assistance programs. Surely they had one addiction coach on there to go, here's some support. Here, take a couple of weeks of work, unpaid, fine, but we're going to provide you the support. We're going to do. Yeah. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with you on this one, Vish, and I know we both do a lot on LinkedIn around this issue because it's so relevant, so poignant. You see, yeah, we both get that if you're on site in the morning, you've done a drugs test, you fail on drink or drugs, you're a hazard on site. You cannot be on site. You need to come off site. But don't, as you just said, don't just say bye. That's not helping it. Because chances are, not all the time, but chances are that young apprentice who's probably been thriving towards getting his apprenticeship. I know a lot of young people in my family and friends that they'll ring and go, James, I've only got onto my apprenticeship that I've tried for the last 6-8 months. I'm like, oh, amazing. So and then to get kicked down, what they're going to pick up? What they're going to do? They're just going to go, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go back into the spiral of drinking drugs.
Absolutely.
Because they know nothing else. That's their coping. That's what they do. There was an instance where last year me and Heidi did a talk for Everton Football Club. Obviously it's now finished now and done, but it was nearly to the end, and our talk that morning got postponed. Not for long, because they did a random drinking and drugs test.
Okay.
And the girl who organised everything, she had to do the random. Anyway, the first 2 were positive. And they got kicked off site there and then. And this Electra came into me, the lady that had organised it, and she told me, said, sorry, we're late, we've had to do it X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
I said, wouldn't it be better if
They
you
jump
brought them
in.
in here before they got, yeah. Listen, I'm not saying it help. I don't know, it might not help, but you don't know that it might. We don't know. And she said, and obviously, zero tolerance, they're not allowed on site, that's fine. But I totally agree. You say, right, we'll give you another chance.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves a second chance.
Absolutely.
If I was written off all them years ago, I wouldn't be here now. By people that stuck by me and gave me that second chance.
Yeah.
I've had a few more than second chances, really, bitch, I'll be honest. But anyway, we'll leave that there.
Yeah.
And just to say, have something in place, right? We're going to give you a month off. We can't pay you, but you're keeping your job.
Yeah.
But we're going to put you in this. We're going to put this in place.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to come back to work. If you do it again, then you're gone.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because you've been given a chance and you're gone and you've not taken it up.
Mm-hmm.
But don't just get rid of him straight away.
Yeah.
I think, you know what, Vish? What's just come to me then, and what I've thought about is, do you know why big companies just kick them off site and don't do anything with them?
The easy way out.
Number one is the easy way out. Mm-hmm. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Number two, they haven't got anything in place. They haven't got anything in place.
Yeah.
Because if they had something in place, that means they've recognised there's an issue.
Yeah.
And we need, so the young apprentice would go, right, we've got this in place already for that. They mustn't have anything in place.
That's such an interesting perspective, actually. And I think there's also the point that I feel like they do have things in place, but I feel like there's this fear around it because they don't know what the right thing to do is, what the wrong thing to do is, where to stop.
Okay, yeah.
There's all of that as well, right? Because I do think like these companies spend hundreds of thousands of pounds. By the way, the company I work for was a huge corporate, it's a huge company, over 5,000 people working for them, millions in turnover, etc., etc. They spend so much money on employee assistance programs, and they're always moaning. They're like, nobody uses these things. Nobody actually uses it. Is it beneficial for the company? Well, you have a great opportunity to use it, and then use that as a perfect example of how positively it can impact somebody, and then people may want to use it. And also, there's this other thing, like these two gentlemen who got kicked off in the Everton construction project. It's like, if there was a chance to help them, I can almost guarantee you they weren't the only two people who were struggling with drugs and alcohol. They're just the only two people who got caught, right?
Correct.
Now, there's two sides to this. One side is, yes, that's going to put fear into people and they're going to stop. Or the other side to it is something you spoke about on our first podcast, and that was they will mask it. They'll get better at hiding. They'll just get better at hiding their addictions.
Yes.
So it's a really controversial topic, but in my head, I'm like, if we've got the opportunity to help someone, let's do that option, right? But again, it's such a controversial topic, but I just don't think it needs to be.
No, I don't at all. And I've never met. I've obviously been in recovery. I've been in the rooms of recovery coming up for 20 years.
Okay.
I've never really met, it sounds awful, but thick alcoholic addicts. You said to hide it better. Very, very clever. Very
Absolutely.
Clever. Scheming, plotting, always finding to get. I need to get my drink for the day. I've got no money. They find it. They find a way. Everything's finding a way to get what they need.
Of course.
If they were to apply that, I've applied that later in life and positive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How can I achieve X, Y, and Z today? And I have things in place to do that. But yeah, I totally agree. And I do, when, like I said, it was ever to see, but I was doing it for Lango Ropes.
Okay.
I wonder, so it was Lango Ropes that were employing these people, and I do wonder what's happened to them. I really, really do. But when you were speaking before, a lot of it comes down to money.
Well, it's interesting. I think financial circumstances for each company is going to hugely factor in what they can and cannot do to support people.
Correct.
But I think there are other options. I think there's the something you spoke about again on our first podcast, and that's the AA Anonymous. Is that right? Is that
Yeah, yeah, that's spot on. Alcoholics Anonymous.
Alcoholics Anonymous? Like, I think there's people out there and there's corporations out there who offer free support, and maybe there's collaborations with these companies that can't afford support with AA, and then all of a sudden they can offer that to their staff and kind of go, this is an option for you to go and do. And there's loads of, and there's probably loads of others.
There's loads I want to speak about. So obviously changing topic just slightly. I have so you've probably seen I'm now a supporter of the Lighthouse charity.
Yeah.
So and I did that in the first week in Feb. Yesterday I had a meeting and we've now become members.
Okay.
And that's pledging so much to them and but we're now a member of the Lighthouse charity. And I'm offering services. I'll go and do they are mega. So if these companies don't know where to go, oh yeah, they do, because it's for construction only. The Lighthouse charity is based on construction only, not just for the construction worker, but for the family as well.
Mm-hmm.
When Paula and Amy, she did a presentation with me yesterday, Paul and Rory, and they did the full presentation with me. It was about 20 minutes. I was gobsmacked at what they actually do. What they actually do. And do you know, if a big company says to him, can you come and do a talk for us, please, on site? We've got 100 people. You've got 3 talkers, say me, Stephen Kirby, and somebody else. And he's talking about his accident, and I'm talking about addiction. And do you know, if big companies get it's called Make It Visible, they go down and go on site. Do you know, it's free.
Really?
They don't pay the companies.
Wow.
They don't even ask for a donation. If the company want to donate, brilliant. But it's free. They do it all for free. It's all from donations. And so there's so much help out there.
Yeah.
It's just tapping into that help.
Of course. But then how do the speakers get paid through that?
I've no idea. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how. I think I've heard they do.
Yeah.
I've heard they do. I don't know. I just said, listen, if you need me, I'm here.
Yeah,
me and Heidi were here. We'll come and so I don't know if I think they do, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
But I say it all the time, and I'm going through my own experience with for years, Bish. I thought I'd be saved. I thought somebody was going to come and save me. It took me a long time to realise nobody's coming. Nobody's coming to save me. This is for me. I've got to so it's all right having these amazing services around us, like Lighthouse Charity, Minds, Samaritans. I put on my LinkedIn a lot, whether you use our paid services or not, if any of your employees need my help, they inbox me confidentially and I'll help them for as long as I can. As long as they want me to, all for free. All for free. There's so many people out there but it's not going to fall in your lap. You have to put the action in and send that email, make that phone call, send that text. You have to do that yourself. You know, the person who wants to help, people aren't mind readers. They've got to find the courage to go, can you help me? No problem. What's your issue? And making sure they're speaking to the right people.
Yeah. I think going back to what we were talking about, zero tolerance, I remember you sharing this story with me of the actual positive side of a company helping you. I can't remember what company it was you was working for. It was a sales position. Can you share that?
Of course I can. Yeah. So I worked for a company called Halifax Bank of Scotland, and it was It was in a call centre.
Okay.
And the hours were 1 in the afternoon till 9 at night.
Okay.
They were the hours, and I worked there for 6.5, 7 years. And I did a lot. My drinking got worse as I was in that job. It got to the worst point, but then I also got to the best point in recovery in that job. So the work saw both sides of me. And I was forever in addiction. I lived around the corner because I was bang driving, so I used to walk round. But I would have a couple of glasses of wine in the morning at 12 o'clock before I started at 1 because it was lunchtime and I was allowed. The fact that I've got work, I'm not driving and it's 1 o'clock and I'd have a couple of glasses of wine. Nuts, absolutely nuts. And I remember it got really bad. I'd been in the job 3 years and it got really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 23, 24, and I was really bad, always ringing in sick, drinking and using in work on a weekly basis. I would drink and use in work 2 or 3 times a week, no problem at all.
Wow.
In work, go to the toilets in work or have a bottle of whiskey under the desk. Nuts. Honestly, the stuff I got away with, I don't know how I got away with it. That what you're saying about being cleverer. It's nuts how my mind, right, well, I can't do that again because I nearly got caught then, so I'll do it this way.
Yeah.
And then when I hit 25, I was broken and I was still employed by the skin of my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember speaking to my manager and saying, listen, I've got a problem with drink. And they sort of know of a degree, but because I was quite good at what I did, I think they sort of not turned a blind eye, but they didn't make it a big issue. I don't know for sure. Anyway, I sat my manager down and I said, listen, I've got a problem with drink. I said, I've just started going to Alcoholics Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
All right, okay, he says, can we do anything to help? I said, well, you can actually. I said, the meetings that I go to are during, there's ones at night, but the ones that I sort of regular go to were in the day.
Okay.
From 1 o'clock till 2:30.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd say, right, okay, I think I was starting a little bit earlier. So I said, I'd come in a little bit earlier. I'd come in for 11, half 11,
Mm-hmm.
but they'd let me go. They'd let me go to a meeting twice a week and I'd be out of the business for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They'd never ask for that time back. And just again, if I was having a bad day, or I'd ring in and say, listen, I'm not great today, no problem at all. I'll mark you down as sick, or I'll do it as a holiday for you. They were just there to support me.
Mm-hmm.
And once I got a good few months into my recovery and I was not drinking and using, and I was obviously building my relationships back up with my family and friends because I burnt all those, work started getting the best of me. I started to enjoy my work again, enjoy my sales, and I became one of the best salespeople that they had.
Wow.
And it's all because of the support they gave me initially.
Mm-hmm.
See, obviously, Richard Branson says it, he said it for years, and I love this saying, and he says, big companies think customers are number one. They're not.
No. Yeah.
Your employees are number one. If you look after the employees, if you've got happy employees, you're going to have happy customers. It's just a byproduct of happy 100%. Employees. It's just what happens. And if you got it right, it's your employees.
Yeah.
It needs to be as where I've just one of my old jobs. It was like us against them.
Yeah.
It was like the sales team against the management team. Not all the way, but the management team changed in my last year of working there. And it was like them against us, and it don't work.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, the company's slowly but surely, it's gone a bit down and down and down. And they've had to draft somebody in who knows the game to bring it back up again.
Yeah. I couldn't agree
against
more.
Them, we're all in it together.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go on.
No, I couldn't agree more. Like, I've worked for a handful of maintenance companies, quite a few construction companies before starting my own. And it is really, really like that in the real world scenarios. You know, the guys on the ground who are doing all the dirty work, I like to call it, you know, chasing those cables, doing all the greasy stuff. It feels as if they're a team within themselves. And then you've got the administrators who usually sit with the management. Yeah, it's like they're a complete separate team. But the truth is, customer complaints really, really low when your guys on the ground are happy. And when they're communicating with the administrators, getting all their tools, getting all their materials, which is right. And that's working smoothly. And then when the managers are actually communicating with the admin and the engineers, it all works as one. And when we work as one, the customers are always going to be happier. You always get the odd customer who's going to have a moan up. But generally speaking, I couldn't agree with that saying. What was that Richard Branson saying again? What was it?
People think customers are number one. It's actually your employees that are number one.
I love that.
You make your employees number one and you'll have your happy customers.
Yeah, I love that.
So I left Bank of Scotland in 2006 and I went, and I'd relapsed. When I left, I'd relapsed. And I went into another job at AA, a breakdown cover, the Automobile Association. And I was there from June 2006 and I was drinking and using in the 6 months. I was ringing in sick, turning up late, leaving early. Again, nearly got sacked on numerous occasions for my behaviour or just not being a great employee. And then in 7, my dad's birthday was 2nd of January. I was like, can't do this no more. I'd been on a 3-day bender over New Year on my own. All my family had disowned me again. Anyway, when I went back to work, I thought I was going to get the curly finger and get sacked on the spot because I'd gone AWOL for 3 days. Anyway, I didn't. There was a manager who I'd been given a brand new manager I'd been given.
Okay.
And he pulled me to the office and I thought, here we go. And he just said, don't know what's happened before. I don't know what you've been up to. I've heard, but I don't know what you've been up to. I'm not going to judge you on what I've heard. Me and you were going to start afresh.
Okay.
And I was like, I thought I was going to get sacked. And I was a week sober, or about 4 or 5 days sober.
Okay.
And me and this manager become really, really good friends. And it was him. So after a month, I'm sat on my break, I'm reading a book. And he come over. Yes, Jane, what's that you're reading? I said, oh, it's the Alcoholics Anonymous book.
Okay.
Oh, right. And I said, yeah, I was going to tell you I've got a problem with drink today, but I'm getting sober and all that. And he said the same as what Bank of Scotland had said. What can we do to help?
Okay.
Now, I didn't go to meetings and stuff, and I just did night meetings, but if I was feeling a bit ropey some days, I'd get in work, my head had gone, he'd go, James, it's quiet, there was no calls coming in. Get yourself home, mate, or they would support me. And I remember in 2007, in the Automobile Association, I became Employee of the Year out the whole of the Northwest, and I made them the most profit out the whole of the Northwest.
Wow.
They were using my calls on training for training people.
No way.
Oh, it was mental, and all because I'd given up drinking drugs and they'd supported me. And this was in 2006, 2007, Vish. This was before all the mental health and like we've got far more support now than we had done back in the day.
Yeah.
But it was just that. As simple as you need us, let us know. That's how simple it was. You need us, let us know. Anything we can do, we can talk. They hadn't got stuff in place. They hadn't got the procedures in place because it wasn't like that then. But something as simple as having somebody there to talk to and say, do you need any extra time? So it's not about, it's moving forward now to 2025. We're saying, we've just said, haven't we, that there's nothing in place. But it's not about having masses of stuff in place. There's somebody there to talk to.
Yeah.
Talking's good. Talking solves things.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Massively.
Yeah. It's interesting. Just this morning, I put a LinkedIn post out about a podcast I've done with Deborah Stanway. She's I don't know if you know Mark's. Yeah. So
yeah. They're both together, aren't they? Mark and Deborah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate to podcast on both, and Deborah says the most powerful thing. She was like, when she was going through the hardest of times, she was crying out for people to listen and care, and nobody did. So we don't actually appreciate how much people just need to be heard. And it's absolutely mind-blowing what just listening can do. When you're in a space of actually opening up and speaking about your problems, when somebody's there to listen, it's like a weight off your shoulders, isn't it?
Massively. So I've got a little story, just to go on off a little story, what you just said there.
Yeah, please, yeah.
In my very, very, very early career as mainly drugs at the time, wasn't really drink, I'm talking, I was 20, 21. But I knew we've spoken about this on the other podcast, I knew we had a problem. And I remember going to the doctor, and the doctor didn't really know. And they said, you need to go to the drug and alcohol team.
Yeah.
And I remember ringing them and speaking to somebody on reception, and I was very emotional. And this girl said, I'll get somebody to phone you back. And all I said, you see, what it is, and I went to start talking about what's wrong, what I'm feeling, and this girl, she was only a receptionist, she stopped me in mid-track, she just went, whoa, I don't deal with anything like this. As I've just said, somebody will phone you back. And I went, right, okay, no problem, put the phone down. I remember telling my mum, and she said, my mum said at the time, this was 25 years ago, mum said at the time, she could have just listened for 2 or 3 minutes. I know she's a receptionist, but she could have just listened for 2 or 3 minutes. That may have made a massive difference, rather than just shutting me off, saying, whoa, I don't deal with this. I've just said somebody will phone you back. And it's that again, it's exactly what you just said, Fish. Somebody listening. It works.
It absolutely does. I think I've been in so many situations in my life where I'm really fortunate because I've got an incredible supportive partner, and she is literally my world, as well as my puppy. You know, they're both.
Of course.
They're my reason of working as hard as I do and all the rest of it. And there's been endless occasions where I've sat down and I've just gone, babe, I just need to talk. And she sat me down and she's gone, Vish, just pour it out. And I'm like, all right. And it becomes like this long conversation. And it's just so, you walk away from that conversation going, I'm really sorry I've put that on you. You know, you feel that guilt, but on the same token, it's like, wow, that's really helped. And also, I always find after having these deep conversations with people, you, like even the one we're having now, James, I feel like I am learning so much from you. And it's like, from every deep conversation, you take away something like a lesson learned, don't you? Even if you're just listening, it could actually be something you're going through or something you may go through in the future that you don't even know about. But having that conversation is like a tool in your tool belt, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, massively. Absolutely massively. So agree with you. Every day it was on. I did an online AA meeting this morning, and somebody said every day's a school day.
Yeah,
Said that for
every day's a
years.
school day.
Every
I said
day's a
that,
school
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Every day's a school day, and it's just, you see, once we think we stop learning, we don't need to learn anything anymore. We start becoming stagnant. Or it's all about, we don't know all the answers. My sponsor, my mentor, I call him. My sponsor is over 30 years sober.
Mm-hmm.
He's forgotten more than I'll ever know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do actually.
Honestly, he is so incredible, and I've known him for about 12 years, right? He's been my sponsor for about 18 months, 2 years, but I've known him for 12 years, and I go to his house and he's the most amazing man. And every time I go and I come away, I learn something new.
Yeah.
He could have said what he'll say. He'll go, and I'm sorry, I know we've spoke about this before, and he says something that he said 3 or 4 months ago, a year ago, and I'll remember, but it just hits different.
Yeah.
It's like my ears are opened at that point.
Yeah.
You see, how many times I've done it. I do it with the Bible. I do it with the AA book.
Mm-hmm.
I've read the AA book. I can't even tell you how many times I've read the AA book. I'm actually going through it again now.
Oh, wow.
And more stuff is this. It wasn't this morning, yesterday morning. I'm going through it, and we have highlighters, so we mark stuff that sort of clicks with us. And I'm highlighting stuff that I didn't highlight 3 or 4 years ago when it was with the highlighter, because it wasn't jumping out at me then, but it is now.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
100%. It's like, if you can watch something and then you re-watch that same thing at a different time, and you're like, oh my God, this is giving me a complete different message now. And it's like, how has this happened? But I feel like that the first time you watch it, you're probably feeling a certain way. So it's attracted you in that way. And then the next time you watch it, you feel a different way. So it's the same content will hit you differently. Yeah, that's your. So with this zero tolerance thing, do you think? I know you touched on processes, but how could we improve the processes? Like one of the thoughts I had in my head, and this is kind of thinking outside the box, because I've got ADHD and OCD. So I'm a part of that neurodiversity crowd, and I found when I first started my career when I was like 17, 18 years old, I was undiagnosed. I didn't even know these things existed, but I just couldn't fit in. There wasn't anything there for me. Like I was a weirdo, right? Because I'd like to put all of my stuff straight. I don't know, like obviously I know now that's because of my obsessive compulsive disorder, but everything had to be straight. Everything had to be a certain way. And when things were moved, I'd get agitated. But that's my stuff. Why are you touching it? But then more and more and more people spoke about it. More awareness was built around it. And I can't compare neurodiversity with addiction, but the process side of it, is it just where we all start talking about it more and more and more and more and more until there's loads of education around it, and then people will be more supportive towards it? Because now, if I go into a workplace, I'm comfortable to share. I have ADHD, and I'm sorry if I interrupt you, or I'm sorry if I'm a bit too energetic. It's just I can't always control it 100%. Especially like when I'm around inspiring people, my brain starts going bing, 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 bing. You know what I mean? So is it just we're just not in that space yet, and that's why the processes haven't been created? Because I don't think, well, I know, I call me naive. Maybe I am naive. I don't know, but I don't believe people are horrible. I think they would help if they could help, and there was another way
If they
to do
knew
so.
how.
If they knew how, that's a gift. If they
Yeah,
knew how,
yeah. You see, I think you spotted with what you've said. I do believe that, yeah, we do 100% we need to talk more about it. And the reason why people don't know what they don't know. So when you're speaking about ADHD, I know about ADHD. I personally think I'm undiagnosed, but I don't want to get diagnosed, but that's another story. But when you just said about neurodiversity,
that's right.
this is me being dead honest, I know nothing about that. So I go, yeah, because I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to comment on it and go, well, I think you should, because I've got no experience around that, Vish.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I think a lot of it is people don't know. So okay, so the answer is we get people to know. So how do we do that?
Yeah.
You've just said it at the very beginning. We talk about it more. It obviously you know, and I know we've got a little bit of different opinions on social media, but you know my platform. I'm mega on social media. I love social media, I really do. And when people come to me for help, and I have a set of questions in my head that I ask people, and it's the same questions. Doesn't matter if you're male or female, gay, straight, black, white. It's the same questions in my head, and it goes along the lines of this: what's your poison? Drinking drugs. How often are you doing it? Every day. Okay. Do you find that once you start, you can't stop? Now, at that point, if they say, oh, yeah, James, or obviously JT, they call me on social media, JT, once I have a beer, all bets are off and I'm off and running. I then get in my mind that, yeah, I think you're sort of borderlining alcoholism addiction, because that's what the illness is. Once you start, you can't stop. Or once you start, you have little or no control over the amount you take. That's addiction. Very simple. We make it complicated. So at that point, if they say, oh no, I have 2 bottles of bud and a 0.5 and I stop, say, right, you're not like me then. What I would suggest is you've got a habit, not an addiction. Have you tried this, this and this? If they come back and say, yeah, I'm on a bender for 3-5 days, I can't physically stop. I've got my kids crying, I can't stop. I'm thinking, right, you're the same as me then. And I say, do you find that once you start, you can't stop? Yeah, I can't stop, JT. Right. Have you heard of Alcoholics Anonymous? Or Cocaine Anonymous, or Narcotics Anonymous? There's loads of different anonymous programs. And I say, have you heard of them? And I'm telling you now, let's call it 50% go, never heard of them. And I'm like, in my head, I don't say this, I think, how have you never heard of the recovery rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous? But it's because it's my life. And I speak about it and think about it every single day. I think everybody knows.
Of course.
The amount of people that come back and go, no idea, never heard of him. Is it a group thing? Yes, it is. And that's only probably what they've seen on telly.
Yeah.
But when I got with Heidi knew that there was Alcoholics Anonymous and Cocaine Anonymous because she's worked in the NHS field. So she knows that there's, but I told her about the 12-step program. She'd never heard of the 12-step program. And I think it's all about exactly what you said, for us to keep speaking about it. This is why I do what I do on social media. Keep pushing it, and just sharing my story. Never say to somebody, you've got to do this. This is what I've done. And then what'll happen is, so what I'm doing there is I'm sowing the seed. And I'm saying what I did when I was like you 15 years ago and I couldn't stop. I did this, and this. And honestly, Bish, a lot of the time we'll go, I'm not as bad as that yet. And I say, no problem at all. If you do get as bad enough, maybe go to a meeting. I don't know. A couple of months later, lo and behold, they'll text me 2 months later, JT, I'm in a pickle again. And I always start the message off with, how did the meetings go?
Mm.
And they go, I never went. There you go. That I'm not going to say anything different. My message is still the same, but it baffles me how many people do not know about the recovery rooms.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is why these type of conversations are so important. It's because it gives people the opportunity to listen and hopefully just go, let me Google it. And that's it. That's all they have to do is go onto Google and type in AA Anonymous, Alcohol Anonymous. And you're right. There's actually like, there's Marijuana Anonymous, there's Cocaine Anonymous. There's quite a few now, ain't there?
Loads.
Yeah.
Loads.
Absolutely.
Overeaters Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous.
Mm.
There's so many programs.
Absolutely, and I think you touched on social media, which so let's just dabble into it. I guess I stopped posting for Onward Shift. I don't have personal accounts, and if I do, then cool. I don't know what they are.
Right.
But I stopped posting on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for Onward Shift, and we had accounts. I think it was only maybe a couple months. I've stopped posting on it. I've stopped going on those platforms as well. It's very rare I'm on it, unless if I've got tagged in like there's an electrical job in Essex, Vish, like, go do it. I'm like, all right, I'll chuck myself
I'll
in
do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, of course, you know. But it's more that reason I'll be on it. It's, I don't have any of the apps on my phone anymore. Everything's on desktop. So it's that extra precaution of, do I really want to go onto it or not? I have nothing against anyone who does social media. But for me, my biggest thing was, I go on it, and it's like an addiction. No, it's not like, it is an addiction. I sometimes sit there, and when I first deleted the apps, I'd go on my phone, and my thumb would already be going to the Instagram button or whatever it was, and I'd be like, oh crap, it's not there. And I have to check myself. I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Do you know what I mean? And I find that I may come across 10% of videos which are really, really positive. They're really, really good videos. They're good for my mental health. They're educational. They're teaching me something good. But 90% on my platforms was just crap. It was just pointless, endless scrolling on stuff that I genuinely can't even remember what I was scrolling on now. So for me, it just didn't make sense. I felt like I was adding to a problem. And then on top of that, I found out I'd be micro watching my likes and my comments and all of that stuff. And it was really affecting me. I was like, oh man, like, why is this person doing better than I? And all of this stuff. And since I've been on it, I've been so much calmer. I've been so much more relaxed. I've been tuning my head into other ways of marketing without social media. And those ways are working. So call me old-fashioned, but for my electrical business, I do door-to-door leaflets. And I have had...
Yes, I saw.
Yeah. So I've had a genuinely positive response on that. And I've only delivered 80 leaflets up to now. And
Wow.
I've comfortably made a return on investment on that. So, yeah.
Mega.
Yeah. So please, I want to understand your perspective of it, because there's no wrong perspective on this. It's just everyone's different.
So this is something that, obviously, I'm going to share this now. So, with you saying about addicted, I go through seasons, obviously everybody goes through seasons, but I have to really, really try hard not to pick up my phone.
Okay.
Now, when I'm on the phone like this, or I'm doing posts or videos or whatever, it's all great. But Bish, I can be sat watching a film.
Okay.
And I'm picking my phone up every 2 or 3 minutes, checking notifications on LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, because I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and I'm checking how many views my videos have done. Then it makes a difference. But and it's a habit. I've got into the habit of just picking it up for the sake of it, and just checking. When an advert comes on, I'll think, I've got 2 minutes, I'll just check. I do have a thing, I think this is where sort of my, I don't know, OCD, ADHD comes in. I do not like any notifications on my phone.
Yeah, same.
So if you've got apps on my phone and they've got ones and all that, they have to be cleared. So that may have something to do with it. I don't know. I've done that for years. But it gets to the point now where a couple of weeks ago, I went and put my phone in the kitchen, and Heidi said, what's up? And I said, it's burning my head out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's physically burning my head out.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything productive. I'm scrolling, I'm checking my notifications and stuff. I'm not doing anything productive at all. It's not good. And it's not, social media is not the problem. It's my mindset around it. It 100%. So, like stuff like now, when I'm in the morning, I'll sit here. This is my space. I love this space, and I'll do an hour with my books and my praying and my journaling. And depending on how I am, sometimes I can have my phone on the side. Sometimes I can have my phone on the side, but it has to be in airplane mode.
Okay.
Other times it goes in the front room behind it because I keep picking it up every 2 or 3 minutes. Like answer a call or answer a text, answer a notification. As I'm writing and praying, I'll think that's a great idea for a video. So instead of writing it down and thinking I'll come back to that, because my mind forgets, I do the video there and then. So I take it off airplane mode, set the camera up, do the video. I'll think, right, I'll post that later. So I'm constantly being interrupted, but it all depends on where I'm at.
Yeah.
It all depends on where I'm at. I am getting better. I really am getting better where I'm not aimlessly scrolling, and I do put it down. So for me, speaking about phone addiction, yeah, I should not go on it an hour before I go to bed. I should, but I don't. I'm on it probably right up until 10 minutes before I go to bed.
Yeah.
But what I do, and I do that, this is a daily thing, this. I can't remember the last time I picked my phone up straight away waking up.
Okay.
I leave my phone downstairs now at night, and I'll get up either before Heidi or after Heidi, and I have, example this morning, my phone was down here on airplane mode. I got up at 5 o'clock, I made my 2 coffees, I sat in the front room and had 2 lots of my medication, and I sat for just under an hour with a lamp on, no telly, no technology, no nothing. And I just sat there in quiet time, thinking about the 24 hours ahead and and thanking God for what I've been blessed with another day. And then I'll switch my phone on about 45 minutes to an hour. So the first thing I'm getting is like what we speak about. Social media can be and is very, very, very toxic. Very toxic. I don't want that first thing in the morning.
Yeah. 100%.
So I have put stuff in place to don't have my phone for the first 45 minutes of the morning. I reflect on the day and that sets me in good stead. Just that practice of having a coffee, having my medication. If I didn't have medication, I'd just sit there with a coffee for half an hour and just think about the day ahead. Then I'd get on my phone if I needed to for an email or whatever it may be. But it does. If you don't do it, try it, because it doesn't half ground you ready for the day ahead.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely bang on. And I think one thing I've noticed between our conversations, I've always noticed there's I'll ping you a message, and within minutes you would have responded to me, and then within minutes I've responded to you. And I feel like that's that one notification. As soon as we see a notification, it's like, I need to jump on that. Like, it feels like my day cannot continue until I've responded to that. So what I do now is, obviously, social media is no longer on my phone. So if people want to get hold of me, they would have to phone me, email me, or WhatsApp me, and not everyone has my number. So now I know the most important people in my life, like family, friends, they can always be in touch with me. Even yourself, you've got my personal number. So
same. Yeah, same.
Anytime you need me, you've got that. But all the likes and all the comments and all of that, I have to do an extra step. I have to go and get my laptop. Then I have to open the web browser. Then I have to click on the link to LinkedIn, because that's the only one I really use. And then it's so many steps. And honestly, by the time I've gone, I have to find my laptop, I'm like, forget it. I'm like, this isn't worth it.
That's good. That's good.
But James, let me tell you something. Since I've started this, right, I tell you, mate, my head has cleared so much. All that negativity is just gone, James. It's gone. Like, I feel younger again. I feel more alive. I feel like, and I'm one of those weird people who I believe a lot of the stuff I read. I don't understand clickbait and all of that. So I'm like, oh my God, this can't be real. And then I have to jump on Google, and I'm like, is this real? And I'm like, oh man, everything is so controversial. It drives me mad. But this is another form of addiction. This is another form of addiction. But James, can I ask you a question? Something you did mention a bit ago was
Yeah.
there's a difference between a habit and addiction.
Yeah.
What is that for you? Like, what does that mean for you?
So, from my opinion, I don't know how medical it is or whatnot, but
Mm.
a habit is something that you've got in the habit of doing,
Okay.
and it's like, how do I say? So, I never went to school. That's why I used to sell cars for a living. But anyway, there's a big word, and it means sort of like when I associate. So when I associate, so
Okay.
when I do my last meds of a
Yeah.
night,
Hmm.
that's when, say my phone's been in here and we've watched the film.
Okay.
When I come into the other room, because my last meds is quite potent and nobody can be in the room for half an hour,
Hmm.
and I'll sit. We've got two living rooms, so I'll sit in the other living room and I'll get my meds, and it's about 10-15 minutes.
Okay.
And my association is I pick up my phone and go through my last notifications because it's been in here for an hour.
Mm.
And I got in the habit of doing that
Hmm.
every time. And then and I thought, it's no good for me that. So I want to, and I have there's Bibles everywhere in the house, but I have the Bible I use is right next to my sort of my breathing machine. And I said to Heidi, I need to put my phone down and start reading only a couple of pages and do that as a habit. Now, if I was disciplined and I picked up the Bible instead, picked up my book, the Bible instead of my phone, and I did it for 21 days solid,
Hmm.
it then turns into a habit
Okay.
in my mind.
Mm.
21, if you do it for 21 days solid, it then turns into a habit in your mind. And then that becomes but that's a good habit to have.
Hmm.
Whereas for me, an addiction is what we touched on before. An addiction it's an illness and it's recognized by the World Health Organization as an illness. Once I start drinking or using, excuse me, no matter how much the necessity or the wish,
Mm.
you could put my daughter in front of me and say, do not have another drink, do not have another whatever. My daughter's there crying. I had the wish would, I don't want to,
Mm.
I'm compelled to because I suffer with an illness. Once I start, my body, I think we spoke about this on the first podcast,
Yeah.
my body creates enzymes in my blood that wants more and more and more. And I can keep drinking and drinking and drinking or using, and no amount will ever suffice. No amount will ever not suffice. No amount of substances will ever quash that. It'll just want more and more and more until I pass out, get locked up, whatever.
Mm.
So that's an addiction. That's where I do believe that my phone, I do believe it's a horrible habit that I've got into
Mm.
that can turn. Of course, it could turn into addiction. Of course, it can. So a habit is something that you sort of your mind does, and it's compelled to do, and for me it associates with doing stuff
Mm.
like people. My auntie used to do it. No matter if she used to smoke, only she still smokes. Doesn't matter if she just put one out in the house.
Mm.
As soon as she gets in the car, she has to light one up.
Light another one. Yep.
That's an association of a habit
Mm.
because that's what your mind's conditioned to. Oh, I'm in the car, cigarette. That's what her mind was conditioned to. That was years ago. So I believe that's the difference between a habit and
And
an addiction.
addiction. Yeah. That's a really, really interesting perspective. So it's sort of like, I guess a habit can be changed and addiction needs to be stopped because it's uncontrollable. Is that sort of right?
Correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
James,
along those lines.
before we kind of move on, it's like I want to go back into the social media side of things as well quickly
Okay.
because there are people like you on it. And I want to
Yeah,
say you're a part of that very small minority who are doing exceptionally good things. And I don't
yeah,
want that to be taken away from this conversation as in like there is a small proportion of social media people and posts which are genuinely good. And I do want people to know that you are one of those people who are on social media and you're pushing a good agenda. You're trying your best to help people, and you're doing a bloody good job at it, ain't you? And I think that's
try.
important
I
to
do
share.
try. It is. So yeah, I do love doing the social media side of it, and I do. And yeah, it sort of we've touched on this before, didn't we? About the world is a toxic place. The world thrives on money and greed and hate. It just does. It's the way of the world. So why do we believe social media will be any different? Because it's what. So if I was, and we spoke about this before, if I was creating drama, people love drama.
Yeah.
People love drama.
Yep.
So if I was creating drama or hate or negativity or pushing it on somebody else and stuff like that, people love that. So the more they watch it, TikTok pushes that more and more, or social media, should we say, pushes that more and more and more for more people to see. But for some reason, it doesn't work that way with positive. When people are promoting a positive message of helping, no, I'm not saying, because there's some big accounts that I follow that have got millions of followers, but again, they're not, so they've got millions of followers. So they are being pushed out there. But it's like, I seen a social media post a few days ago. There's a guy called Gary V.
Oh,
I think he's American.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone knows Gary V. And he said he's got two accounts. He's got one that says Gary V and one that says Gary V Replies. And we spoke about this being a new. So his Gary V Replies, I think it's got something like 100,000 followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
His Gary V account has got, I can't remember if it was 1.5 million or 15 million. It's a lot.
Okay.
And when he posts a video on each one, the newer account does far more than the older account, even though, so that's got 100,000 followers and that's got, say, 1.5 million. All these videos were doing more views on his smaller account than the bigger account. And it's just what social media is pushing. Social media does push new accounts. But this is why people like me and you, I believe, need to be on social media to try and keep shining that light into the darkness. You see, and I do, because, obviously I do look at other people's views and compare and think, why have they done that? Why? And I've been on it and it's all the always. And at the end of the day, we say it a lot, basically. If we just help one person, we've done our job.
Of course.
But I do put a lot into social media. I really, really do. And I always believe I can do more. But the power of social media, I find, is incredible. And it's these little nuggets of joy that make me then go, it's all worth it. And one is, I sold a car to a guy 12 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And he had my personal number. So it comes up on TikTok that you've got contacts and stuff like that. And he phoned me a few weeks ago saying that his a family member was really bad on the drink and was in the next. They thought it was going to be the end for in a few days.
Okay.
How can we help? We've tried rehab. I said, my friend owns the rehab. Let me give him a ring. But then, obviously, Heidi being Heidi, knowing a lot about the NHS and whatnot, did a voice note to this person and said, if I were you, I'd do this, 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 and this. The person went and did exactly what Heidi had suggested. A month, it's about 3 weeks later, which is yesterday, this lady texted me saying she's not had a drink or drug.
Wow.
Her husband has got on board and he's not had a drink or drug either.
Wow.
She's now getting health, physical health fixed, and she's got hobbies now. And they sort of thought she was going to be a goner, and all because they'd reached out. And as I said, I sold them a car 12 years ago. The advice that we've given has now helped not just that person and her husband, but the whole family.
Wow.
And this is the power of this is the good power of social media.
Yeah.
You don't know who's watching.
That's true.
You don't know who's watching.
See, this is the controversial bit of it, right? Like, for people like us, there's two sides of it. It's like, yeah, I want to help as many people as I can, and it all starts with that number one person. But then on the same token, I can't help people if I'm not in a good headspace myself. And if I'm consistently on social media, and I'm like, even I find LinkedIn is actually a platform that I post on. I used to post on it once or twice a day, right? And then this year I've realized actually I'm only going to post on it like maybe just once a day. And then I slowed down even more. Now I post on it a few times a day, but if somebody tags me in a post, I always repost it. But I found just being off LinkedIn as well, because I find LinkedIn is getting a bit wishy-washy with the information on there and stuff like that. I just find that, again, I think there's a space for it to be a good thing, and then there's a space for it to be a really bad thing, and it's down to the individual to curate
It is.
that for them. But I find it very challenging. I do find social media very challenging. And I'll share something which I haven't shared with anyone before, so I'll share it with you, James. Right?
Please.
About 3 weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, I had to reach out to my ADHD coach. She is incredible. She is absolutely incredible. It's funny because obviously Onward Shift has coaching and counseling, but I still go to my coach.
Yeah.
Because that's the one I don't know, got a real good relationship with. And I spoke to her about social media, and she said people with ADHD, they take things really personally, and the world is so loud right now. It's so noisy. It's really hard for people with ADHD or neurodiversity to be on these platforms. And ever since she said that, I felt like she just understood me. She's also got ADHD, so she really, really, really understood me. And the craziest thing is, right, she is, in my opinion, so successful. She's recently won a huge contract for one of the biggest universities. She never posts on social media, never. And I think to myself, wow, like, is there a world outside of it that we've just completely forgotten? Is there a market here?
Possibly.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Possibly.
I don't know. But it just makes me think, like, oh my God, am I missing out on stuff by fixating on one thing? But anyway, this just of my head is just all over the place most days.
It's fine. I wanted to share something with you. I seen something on social media. You've probably seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a picture
Okay.
of an old telephone.
Oh. What, the little spinny thing?
With a spinny thing and the wire. And it said, back in the day,
Yeah.
when telephones had wires, but humans were free.
Yeah. That's
And I was
mad.
like,
That's deep.
that's quality. When phones had wires, humans were free. And I was like, that's very hard hitting that, because it's like, how true is that?
You know, I was saying this to the missus just the other day. I said, I'm so grateful to have been brought up in the generation where we get to knock on the door and say, sir or miss, can X, Y, and Z come out to play? But honestly, like, I had to physically knock. And honestly, there was times where the mum or the dad would be like, no, he's in trouble. He ain't coming out the house. And I'll be like, doing a full-on sales pitch on how important it is for that kid to be out with me right now. But honestly, when I look at my life now, I'm 31. I can comfortably do door-to-door sales. I can knock on a stranger's door. I can give them a leaflet. I can have a conversation with them, look them in the eyes, and walk away with both of us smiling. I don't know.
Love it.
I don't know if the younger generation can do that. I'm not sure if there's barriers in place for them now. I don't know.
It's a lot. I mean, you're young. I mean, obviously, I turned 46 in January, and when you said 31, I was like, oh, she's so young, honestly. But in love, love 80s and 90s. You were born in 93?
93, yeah, spot on.
So I love the 80s and 90s, growing up through primary school and then through school the whole 90s. Part of me wishes I was a couple of years older than I was, so I could have done the rave scene. Because I never did the rave scene in the 90s. And I really do wish, and when you get a lot of the social media music, it comes up on that, like, 90s raves, and they've got the old video cameras and all that, and I think, wonder what it was like to go to one of them.
Yeah.
And it was mega. However, obviously, you can't turn back the clock, but we have great memories of the 80s and 90s. Yeah, I do feel, what's it going to be like for, say, my grandson who's 1 next month, and what's it going to be like for him in 10, 15, 20 years?
I think it'll be all right, because that's the only life they would know. Like, for us,
true. True.
So we can compare, but when you don't have a comparison, there's nothing to compare it to. I can go into I love conversations like this, to be honest with you.
Oh, I love it. Well, I want to just finish on. So I know I've spoke about when we did a talk for Everton and Lango Road last year.
Yeah.
Who were absolutely great, by the way, but me and Heidi become good friends with the girl that organises it all, Electra.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the power of social media again, Bish.
Mm-hmm.
She rang me and Heidi a couple of days ago, and she said, I just want to share something with you. So we said, go on. And we took our grandson for a walk. This was on Monday. And she said, they've just had a new apprentice start.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay. And he's doing podcasts.
Oh,
so
cool.
it's all right and stuff. And he's into mental health and he's into helping people and stuff. And he's only young.
Mm-hmm.
And a lecturer was speaking to him about what she does and she said, we had a great guy here last year, did a talk, James Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And this lad went, JT, from TikTok.
No
way did you have him here. And a lecturer's
That's
like, yeah, he's a
amazing.
friend. And he's like, oh my days, I can't believe you had JT here from TikTok. And again, it's the power of social media.
Yeah. That's crazy. You are a superstar out there, to be fair, ain't
No,
you?
not at all.
On.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just a normal guy. But
Humble guy.
It does make me smile. It really does make me smile. I don't, to be fair, I don't get it as much now. I used to get back in 21, 22.
Mm-hmm.
I get it a lot in the supermarket. I got it. Some guy came in work and went over to the receptionist and went, is that the guy on TikTok? He didn't even speak to me. He didn't even come over.
No way.
But I remember when me and Heidi did our very, very first talk for ISG, and we were getting let through the barriers because it's all proper barriers and scanning and stuff now, isn't it, on building sites? Yeah. And the guy who was showing us round, he was approached by a young lad on site, and he came over and he went, what's he doing here? That's that guy off TikTok. That's JT MOTIV off TikTok. And this was just before our very first talk for ISG. Again, it just makes us smile. We don't know who we're helping.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We just got to keep doing it, Vish.
Yeah.
So I urge you to go back on social media. No, don't. That's up to you. No, don't.
You know what, right? I've not completely closed my doors on it. It's still at the thought back of my mind, but right now I want to channel my energy into, if I'm honest with you, like recovering myself. Like these podcasts, they're so important to me. Like Onward Shift is a huge picture, but these podcasts are important to me. I do it for a selfish reason because I want to educate myself on as much as I possibly can. I want to learn. Every day's a learning day. Every day's a school day. And I love these podcasts because not only do they help one person, hopefully, but they help me so much. They help me understanding your perspective. They help me. They also change my narrative of things. Like you're saying, social media does have this positive impact on people. It makes me question, okay, am I seeing it too black and white? Am I seeing it as is a bad thing I need to stop? Or is it maybe I just need to reach the right people? I don't know. Like these are questions these are questions I'll ask myself and walk away from, and maybe someone else will as well. But yeah, I'm definitely not on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok just yet. Maybe in a few months. Who knows? You're
not doing a bad thing, by coming off social media for a bit. It's a great thing. It really, really is. And I'm nowhere near that point yet where I can come off and just say, I'm going to have 2 weeks off social media, everything off social media for 2 weeks. I think I would feel like you do and feel amazing. I really, really do.
Yeah. Can I give you an example quickly? I've got a friend. I won't name her, but I've known her since I was a young boy, and she does, what do you call it? Like modeling, but like she does clothes and stuff like that. And she built her Instagram account up to I think 80,000 followers, and then she had a few issues happen, so she jumped off for a little while, and her algorithm completely dropped. It felt as if all her hard work was just gone. And then on top of that, it feels very controlling in a sense, I think, where if you're not consistent on it, and this message of consistency is important, I think that there needs to be a balance between consistency and saying, actually, I need a break.
Yeah.
So, and also I know another person who, again, built their following up quite high, and then Instagram, I don't know what the reason was, but they blocked the account. So yeah, it was like they couldn't do anything to get that account back. So it was all of that hard work was just gone. I'll have to find out the exact details, but they want
so upset.
Yeah, but they want, like, there was nothing inappropriate. There was no, like, not even a bikini shot, nothing like that. it could just be some haters just reporting the account or
report,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you think like they've built a whole business on social media, but social media can just take it away like that, and you think like that's why I always say to people who I speak to is make sure you've got your own website going on, something that you have the power over, especially when when you've got a website, make sure you have the hosting, you have the domains, you have control.
Yeah.
At least that way, if social media doesn't work out, then your backup is always going strong.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with
opinion.
that. That's every day's a learning day. I've just learnt that. So yeah, brilliant.
Well, you've got a great website. Especially now you've got it all revamped as well. It looks proper.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Proper decent. So yeah, but
yeah,
James,
we've just got to get the other podcast is going on this week.
Nice.
It's still not on yet, and then this one, when this one gets launched, this one will be going on as well. So. It's got obviously the clothing, the Lighthouse charities on there, the podcast about me and Heidi. There's a web chat where you can chat to us, loads of stuff.
Amazing. It's amazing work you're doing, James. But I know we've come up to our time. Thank you, mate. We've come up to our time. Time just flies with you, James. It just absolutely flies. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming back on. And this conversation has been so insightful. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll speak soon.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
We've come to the end of today's podcast, and I want to take an opportunity to thank you so much for tuning in and giving us a listen. If you've enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We upload a new episode every other week. Also, if you need any support with your mental health, or you know a colleague, a friend, a family member who just needs a bit of help, make sure to check out onwardshift.com. I wish you a very, very amazing day and a superb week ahead.